The GoreCast is brought to you by American Horrors, the greatest uncut horror channel in the world. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all horror. As well as the Station of Decapitation Without Your Head,
America's longest running horror channel, www.withoutyourhead.com.
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Take two. It is Tuesday, which means it is time for original versus remake because it's Tuesday, as I just said. And 95% of the time, we're here with you guys. A couple of times where we're not, but we're here today. We have the conclusion to the epic. I don't know how epic it is, but the conclusion to the two-part It original versus remake extravaganza. Ooh, I like that word. It's nice and big and sounds like it has purpose.
Right.
Where last week, if you didn't see us last week, we covered the first part of the 1990 miniseries, and we compared it to the 2017 film released by whoever released it. I don't know who, but it was released by a movie company. And so this week, we're here to finish it up with the second part of the miniseries and It Chapter 2, where we sat and watched the film for almost 3 hours. Some liked it, some didn't like it. More to come on that. As you can tell by Carter's reaction, we probably already know who liked what and who didn't like it. How you doing, Carter?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm about already to my second beer. It's Tuesday. Let the good times roll, as that song says. Let the good times roll.
Go.
I don't know who sings it, but I just did. Or I didn't sing it. I talked it. Getting excited because we are a couple weeks away from spooky month of October. So we have some fun stuff hopefully planned here. It's Halloween, a pandemic Halloween, so I wonder how that's going to go.
Yeah, I've kind of wondered that.
No, today I was watching the news because, yes, I'm old and boring. And which is funny because I'm the youngest one of the crew. And they're saying that the CDC suggests that kids should not be trick-or-treating because of said pandemic, because they could catch the Rona.
Well, I know a lot of people are trying to figure out how to do it distance-wise. Like, I've been seeing a lot of like little craft things. So like a little tube going down, you put the candy in, they catch it on the other side. So I'm trying to do like still try to hold to distance and all that, and still make it fun. I'm
literally just gonna go to the store, buy 2 bags of candy, and be like, "Here you go, one child. Here you go, other child. Happy Halloween." You don't even have to wear a costume. Here's your candy. It's like I wasn't even bothering wasting my money on buying a costume because I knew if I would, they'd be like, "Oh, it's canceled." And I'm like, "Oh, there goes like $30, $40 down the drain."
Right.
So my son's just gonna wear an old costume. He has some of his older costumes still. He has a Ghostbusters costume, which I think he might wear this year.
Oh, nice.
So the other 2 costumes I can't find, so that's the one he's gonna have to wear. So by default,
turn it into like a hide and seek thing.
Yeah, it's true. Here you go, son.
Always just turn that shit into like a hide and seek. Like, hey, y'all, there's like 30 pieces of candy in this house. Good luck.
Well, that's what my brother told my son. He came home from the hospital on Saturday, and we were talking, and my brother's like, "Well, you know what we'll do is me and Grandpa and your dad will go in our rooms, and you can go up to our doors, knock on our doors, and we'll hand you candy." And then like my son goes home. I'm talking to my brother. I'm like, "You're gonna be on vacation like the week of Halloween, so now you just promised an 8-year-old you're gonna do something that you aren't gonna do, you son of a bitch." He's like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot." And it's like, "You could do it then." And I was like, "Probably. I'll do what I just said I was going to do. I'll just, here's a bag of candy, go play and get diabetes.
Hey, real quick, we got Giz in the chat, and we got Katie stopping by to say hey real quick. She's got
hey real quick,
so she's gonna have to crash out.
Have fun at school.
Thanks for stopping through, Katie.
Go learn some things. We should teach. We should be teachers. I didn't hear that, but there was an audible laugh in my ear from somewhere.
I'm curious to see what topics we would teach, dude.
It would not be good.
I'm curious. I just,
Well, are you ready for some news bits?
Oh, hey, so we got somebody else in the chat called Sweet Rabbit, and they said they're doing the hiding thing, but the day after, when the candy's 50% off.
Ooh,
I love the day after. I love the day after. Not gonna lie.
See, this is why we're at where we're at, and they're at where they're at.
Broke the day after.
Yeah, 50%. Oh, good idea.
All right, so what news do we got?
All right, so the first bit of news is a new Norwegian horror movie will be hitting Netflix this spooky month. I like saying spooky month. It is called Cadaver, and it is from Norway, and it's going to be on Netflix. Hence all the things I just said. I just said it in different order. I'm really just trying to stall because my phone screen went black, and there we go. So the line between reality and theater quickly get blurred until Alice disappears in front of Leo and Jacob. Who are Leo and Jacob? I don't know. And there's no longer room for doubt. Something is very wrong in the Matthias Hotel. Forgot to tell you that it's a hotel horror. But yeah, that is a movie that will be hitting Netflix on October 22nd. And it has a trailer that was just released today or yesterday. But it was just released. So you can go to YouTube and type in Cadaver. I almost forgot what the movie was called already. And look at the trailer and see if that's something that would interest you. Kind of not sure how I feel. Like the haunted hotel thing is kind of a like we have a couple movies about it, then we stop having them for a while, then another one pops up, and then we stop having them for a while. And
I mean, like that's kind of the swing of shit. I kind of like that little break though, because I mean, like I still can't throw a stone without hitting like a zombie movie, so I like having a little bit of a break.
I got into an argument with somebody like a couple weeks ago when like the Walking Dead stuff got announced that it's like the next season's the last for the original show. And he's like, but zombies are very popular. I was like, yeah, like 20 years ago.
Right.
Like,
I mean, like,
still like.
I'm not saying that I don't enjoy them, but it's just harder to find good ones out there because it's just so polluted with everything zombie.
Yeah. No, we're still on the same story. But yeah, it's nice to get that little, like you said, little break from like certain genres, because like I said, they are not genres, but like I mean, zombie movies I guess is a genre, but like hotel horror really isn't a genre.
Right.
It's kind of, but it looks like they kind of went like the right route and just didn't let it get oversaturated. What are they saying about me now?
Bill's like, green screen, change your background. Still looks like you're hosting from a padded cell. Oh,
you need to talk to Johnny. He's the one that controls all that. So, whatever you want, you just tell us in the chat, and Johnny will make it happen. I just sit in front of the green screen. I don't do anything else. That was for the Crazies episode, and then it's just stuck ever since then. And it's been the background which was quite a while ago.
Because like I mean, I dug all the MCU movies that came out, but it's kind of nice to get a break from stuff. Just you have too much of it, then it just kind of becomes harder to enjoy sometimes.
And that's the one thing I like. That's kind of nice about those movies, though, is they like besides a couple of them, they're kind of their own thing, even though they're in the same universe. Their styles, like between movie to movie to movie, like with Thor and like Iron Man, like they all kind of have their own. Okay. Well, I can't see what's going on, but I'll wait till I watch it after.
No, and it's true. Like they are standalones, but I just mean like as an overall, like we were doing like what was it like 2 MCUs a year, plus all of the advertising and stuff like that. So like everything can just kind of get real muddy after a few, and I kind of felt like that with zombies. It just like you can hit so many streaming services and just be drowning in like oh zombie this zombie that and stuff.
Flight of the Zombie and this
right
and that and the other thing.
And unfortunately it's when you're trying to make a film, you're trying to get your idea, but you're also trying to get your name out there, so you're going to kind of hurry up and be like, dude, I can make a zombie film, and you're just kind of after the pool, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's kind of nice to mix it up from time to time.
Yeah. Ahead and mosey on along to the next news bit, which is Christina Ricci, will be cast in Quibi's 50 States of Fright season 2. She'll be actually in the real life Overlook Hotel episode. It says that my phone is getting hot. And this is actually a horror anthology. I didn't see season 1 or have not heard of this before, but I guess it was produced by Sam Raimi. So that already gets a little bit of thumbs up there. It is like I said, the second season of Quibi's Sam Raimi produced horror anthology 50 States of Fright. It will premiere on September 28th. With the new season, they are set to explore urban legends from Colorado, Iowa, Missouri, and Washington, taking viewers deeper into the horrors that lurk just beneath the surface of our country.
Oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I'm curious to see what Missouri's got for urban legend.
Let me scroll. Missouri is the Dogwood Azalea. Don't know what that is.
No fucking clue. Yeah.
Says when a young girl moves to a new town in rural Missouri with her family, she makes a new friend of a very old and angry soul. We have Red Rum in Colorado, which is, I believe, the Outlook Hotel one. Washington, 13 Steps to Hell. And Iowa is almost there. With a ghost of her dead mother terrorizing her, an engineer must fix a turbine in the middle of Iowa while a storm rages. So that's something that, like, I mean, obviously, especially when you look at the Overlook Hotel, because it's for The Shining and stuff, you don't see a lot of, like, I don't know. I would say you don't see a lot of state urban legends kind of brought into this format, like of a show. Like right, sometimes you hear like Ghost Adventures. We're going to go to this state and da da da. But like you don't see it in this type of format very often.
No, that's kind of why I was curious because you've got like where I live, of course, we've got our own little like fucking urban legends and shit like that. So I was kind of curious to see what, as a state, what would get picked.
Yeah. And like I said, the fact that Sam Raimi is producing it, that gets their thumbs up here. It's going to take me a couple seconds because my phone is doing its usual stupid phone shit. Okay, so I already know now what's probably behind me. It's the chocolate starfish and the hot dog flavored water, y'all. All right, partner. Keep on rolling, baby. This phone's taking a lot longer. I might end up having the whole song sung by the time the fucking song catches up.
Oh, all for you, Bill.
Yeah. Where the fuck is the news? God damn it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so Sam Raimi, he's producing something, and it's gonna be good. The next story.
I'm kind of digging seeing Christina Ricci pop up, dude. I dig. Sweet Rabbit pointed that out. Like, she's done a lot of horror as you go back and kind of look at her stuff.
Something I'll slide in while I'm still waiting for my phone to not being stupid. We are coming up yesterday on 1 year after losing Sid Haig. So, cheers to you, my friend. And yesterday was Stephen King's birthday. So that kind of the next story and today's episode, because they're Stephen King films from a couple of his books. I know the next story, as I slowly find it, is about Mr. Mercedes. Yeah. Mr. Mercedes? Where are you at? There's Mr. Mercedes. Bear with me, folks. The internet is not my friend right now. And my obvious attempts of needing his help is not also hitting anybody else too, as I'm just drowning in the ocean over here. I'm good. I found it. He's coming free to the Peacock in October. NBC launched its new streaming service because everybody has one now, the Peacock. And they will be streaming Mr. Mercedes, which, like I said, is a Stephen King novel. That will be coming out, will be streaming on October 15th. Yeah, there's more to it. I just got to wait for it to load because my phone is very hot right now. All right, based on the New York Times best-selling Bill Hodges trilogy, Mr. Mercedes, Finding Keeper, and End of Watch by Stephen King. Mr. Mercedes follows a retired detective who is tormented by a serial killer, Bradley Hartsfield, a.k.a. Mr. Mercedes, through a series of letters and emails, causing him to set out on a dangerous and potential felonious crusade to protect his loved ones and himself. Ooh, that took and there's a lot of people in the show or movie or whatever it is. But I don't know.
For the life of me, I can't remember a boy's name that's in the picture, but I dig the hell out of him as an actor. Brendan Gleeson, there we go. I dig the hell out of that dude.
Brendan Gleeson.
Okay.
Johnny was mentioning it before we started, and I was like, sure, I believe you, because you guys know a hell of a lot more than I do. So, and he's Irish. That's what I hear. The word on the streets is he's Irish. Yeah. So, should we move on to it, or should we move on to track 2 of Chocolate Starfish and Hot Dog Flavored Water?
I'm totally good for moving on.
I don't remember what track 2 is, so we're gonna have to go to it. Oh man, maybe next time.
Was not my favorite album. So
that was a horrible album.
Yes, it was.
My favorite was Significant Other. That was good shit.
Oh, dude, that was their shit right there.
Did shit. We did it all for Nookie. The Nookie.
Oh,
that was on Significant Other. That was a good ass too.
We're having a little bit of an argument with the whose Limp Bizkit's best album was, but no, Significant Other.
Significant Other, I think, was like $3 Bill, y'all. The first one, it's okay. Had the weird cover of Faith, which was really weird.
Right.
If I could touch your body, I know not everybody has got a body like me. But I gotta think twice.
But yeah, I definitely don't. Chocolate Starfish was one of their better ones.
That was probably their most radio like popular album. Like every time you turn around, there was like a song from that CD on the radio, like Rollin' and My Way or the Highway. This time I'm gonna let it all come out. And especially if you like WWF, they use that for the WrestleMania 17 theme. Oh my God! You want to get pumped for a fucking feud? Austin Rock at WrestleMania 17, My Way. Oh my God, right in my veins, right in my veins. We need to get to it because we've been going on for way longer than I anticipated. It Part 2 miniseries, 1990. We left off last time with the unfortunate demise of Stanley in the tub, and if you weren't me, you would have known more came after that. If you were me back, 10 years ago, you would have thought that was the end of the movie. But no, there was another hour and a half of not really good film. We started off with all of the adult versions of the Losers Club returning back to Derry. I believe Bill was kind of the first one to show up. He meets up with Mike at his home. There's something to do with a bike that he had when he was younger that seems to tie in. Oh, and the bike has healing powers. Wait till the end of this movie. Because somehow riding this...
You're fucking shocked. But we're talking about a fucking creature that like disguised itself as a fucking clown to eat children. But the bike is your fucking hang-up.
It is. It really is. And
right. Wow.
I'm going to be kind of going all over the place right now because it's how these kind of movies go. But like the remake, It Chapter 2, they really have something about how Stephen King can't end a fucking book. Just to let you guys know. Because I can buy sea turtle gods. I can buy weird white tarantula being clown BS, but a magical bike that somehow doesn't know what's going on because she saw the lights. No, that's where shenanigans are called on my end. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
That's fucking shenanigans kills me, dude. Like I don't even understand that shit.
Shenanigans.
Sea turtles with aliens on its back is justifiable.
Earth is on its back.
Even fucking better. That's justifiable. But a bike that breaks like a weird.
Our Hubble telescopes, we just cannot get the sea turtle on picture, but it's out there. You never see the Earth from the below because the turtle
is so flat that it hides the turtle.
Exactly.
Right. There we go. Okay. You know what? That now explains the bike thing. You were saying?
Yeah. Pennywise, he's doing his things again as the elves come back to Derry. Bill sees them digging some graves. One of them's filled. We don't know what, well, we know what that means, but they don't know what that means, but they will find out what that means. Then the rest of the crew show up. Beverly comes home to her old, what she thinks is her old like apartment or whatever house, whatever it was. She goes and rings on. A nice little lady answers and invites her in for some tea because that's what you do in Derry, Maine. And then we find out she has some fucked up teeth. And then she turns into some weird monster thing. And
you're kicking over to the right.
No. Well, no. The evil lady's in the thing too. She invites her in. They're drinking the tea. She's like sucking the tea down really fast, and then her teeth are all like messed up. And then she turns into some kind of like she's not a monster, but she like her face is all decrepit.
Oh, okay.
That's when. So I may have messed you up by saying monster.
But right. She, like, okay. Yeah. Sorry. I thought. Yeah. Listen to that. I thought you were going over to the remake.
She runs out and then she turns around and Pennywise is in the house, and then the house turns from like a normal house to like it's an abandoned house. So Pennywise tricked her into thinking that her house, and it was still, up and running. Pretty much the rest of this is like, each member, like I said, returning home. They kind of have a re-encounter with Pennywise. Pennywise is telling them, you can still get out while there's time. Da 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 da. I know Richie has a little thing. He goes to the library, and he sees Pennywise, and like nobody else obviously sees anything. And Pennywise is like doing all of his little stand-up routine because Richie's Mr. Stand-up. And yeah, they all, like I said, they all come back. They all have their little re-encounter with Pennywise. And then they all go eat some Japanese food or Asian food, some kind of food.
Now, I will say I kind of dug that scene in both original and remake, just how like everything went sideways.
They do it in different parts because, like, I think in the remake in Chapter 2, it happens I think almost right at the beginning. Here, it's more like in the middle, I think, which I guess doesn't really matter where it's put, but
just both scenes were kind of cool.
Yeah, this is where like they're all obviously getting reacquainted. They haven't seen each other in 30 years. They haven't talked to each other in 30 years, and this is where Mike starts to drudge up a lot of the old memories. Because like once a lot of them leave Derry, like I kind of think they kind of explain it's like there's like a veil that goes over their eye, like they completely forget about everything that happened. Like,
and they kind of hinted that even to the adults of the town and stuff,
which is why like when they don't see it, like,
right? Like
adults,
she came out, like when she came out like with blood on her hands or whatever, everybody's kind of and then like turned a blind eye and just kind of kept doing what they're doing, but. Yeah, it has some sort of kind of spell over the whole town.
Adults, yeah, and like that's something they kind of like they show, and like Beverly's talking about that particular thing. The rest of the kids, they saw everything. They saw the blood, so like they helped her. Like I remember her line was like, "That's why I fell in love with all of you." I'm like, oh, Beverly, we're already ritual of the chud and all that stuff from the book. It really happened. We just didn't see it. So they're having their dinner, and their fortune cookies do some weird things. Some eyeballs and some dead baby birds, and it was kind of very strange, very Pee Wee Herman. Like it seemed like a Pee Wee's Playhouse special effects going on. Like the
will say, I definitely fucking amped that one up.
Yes, it did.
It was so like obviously. Well, and you kind of made that comment in the first part of the series or the show that for it being the network that it was on, they could only do so much. And since we've seen a remake from the very beginning, they definitely like cranked things up, like tenfold. And so the Chinese scene was definitely, like floating heads in the fish tank, all sorts of just crazy shit.
Yeah. But yeah, they flip out and they're like, yeah, we're out of here. They leave the restaurant. They end up going to the library next. They're all still like it's the one thing that I find weird is like how like back and forth they are. They're like, oh, we're all happy, and oh my god, Penny, and like it just seemed like it snapped, and they like their view of everything going on at the moment changes like 360. Like they're like, I haven't seen you in a while. Pennywise, oh my god, I just shit my pants. Pretty much that's how it happened.
Back and forth of like misbelief. Like even though we just saw everything in the Chinese restaurant, we're still like we are ready to leave because we're afraid, but we don't want to believe in what we're afraid of. If that makes sense.
That's definitely the thing of it is like they know it, but they don't want to admit it. Like they know what's going on, but like you said, the more that they'll admit it, the more they have to come to terms with what's going on. That's what they don't want to do.
It's like it's cool to just be able to go, you know what, this was fun, fuck it, I'm out of here, compared to like, yeah, Buzz, you're right, this thing exists and I just don't want any fucking part of it. Like nobody
Richie was so gung-ho on leaving, like pretty much the whole thing. He was, even to the very end, he was like, we could not do this. We could go. Like, oh no, Richie, let's do this. We made a promise. Oh, okay. You know, we could go. We're like, no, let's shut up.
Dude, he was like a hard Scooby-Doo Scooby-Doo crew. Like, just we don't have to step into the spooky house. We could leave at any time.
Exactly. While they're at the library, they end up learning because they were all there. Mike mentioned, I talked to him. He said he was going to come, but we haven't seen him. We haven't heard from him. Mike makes the phone call back to the house, and that's where they find out that Stanley had killed himself in the end of part 1. And then we have a weird little scene where Stanley's head is in a cooler. So that was kind of cool. He was a very, like I said, very like Pee Wee Herman, like special effects. Sorry, I got a message. Yeah. So they leave the library. They go to the hotel. While a lot of this is happening, Henry Bowers, who was the bully from the original, we find out eventually that he supposedly, confessed to all the murders that Pennywise did, and he was institutionalized.
And it wasn't even really like he confessed. He just, after he saw it, he got his hair, start white and just was kind of not talking to the world. They just happened to find him around all the bodies. So you're not arguing your case. So obviously he fucking did it.
Yeah. He's starting to see visions of Pennywise and the moon. That was kind of cool. And he escapes with the help of his dead friend. I forgot the one. I thought it was Belch. That was his like nickname, but I can't remember the actual name of the guy.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember
It's not. But one of the guys that was part of his crew in the original that was killed, he is getting rides from a ghost, pretty much. So yeah, we got Henry Bowers now, kind of. Pennywise is like, get him, kill him, and da 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 da. And then he ends up showing up while they're in the hotel. Each of the couple of the guys that go upstairs. I know, like Ben went up to like Beverly's room.
Right, like we needed a Shaw and inhaler.
Yeah,
like,
and everybody needed coke because they're old. Yeah,
but like they did it smart because they were like, "Hey, if you're gonna go, we go as a group." So like, half of them stay downstairs to look out for each other.
They go as a group and then immediately separate.
Yeah, like
let's go as a group into separate rooms.
I was like, man, I was totally on board. Like, this is some smart fucking thinking. All right, if we're not back out in the hallway, why did we come up here together then if we're just going to separate? Like, what the fuck, dude?
Mike ends up being attacked by Henry. He gets stabbed in the chestal region. And then while they're struggling, Ben and Eddie end up breaking into the room because the door was closed and locked, I believe. And then Henry Bowers gets killed by knife. Gets stabbed. And they just leave him in the room.
Right. We're just going to put the fucking do not disturb sign up and we're all going to leave. You have a fucking building information. Like, we're all paying for the night here, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sheriff's like, so who had that room? Buzz did. Like, here's his credit card information. This shit's not going to come back on them in any way, shape, or form.
The group goes and takes Mike to the hospital because he's bleeding from where he got stabbed. And he's going to make it, guys. He's not going to die, thank God. But he's not going to be able to help everybody. The guy that was so gung-ho getting everybody together got a cop out because he got stabbed in the heart. Or, well, not in the heart, but in the chest. So Bill goes in, and they're like, the doctor's like, yeah, he's not out of the woods, but he'll live. I'm like, well, that's kind of out of the woods then. But,
I will admit, like this, as much as I like the original, this is kind of where it started to lose me, because we make such a big deal about it's got to be all of us. It's got to be the losers. And I don't know, what was it, Stanley that killed himself?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I mean, that sucks, but maybe we can do it with one less person. But as we start to lose him and then Mike, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? You know?
They end up being represented by the two little pieces of silver that they had that they were able to kill Pennywise in the first part. Mike said that he went back 10 years before, said he was on, kind of rough part of his life. He was kind of hoping for Pennywise to awake and kill. He was ready for death, but it didn't happen. He found those two pieces of silver that they had to kill Pennywise. He gives them to Mike, and Mike's like, all right, bitches, I'm taking over now. He didn't say those exact words. But yeah, so the group comes together. They decide to finally eventually go back to where they killed Pennywise the first time in the sewers, in his lair. And he's a giant crab monster guy. Just straight out of, Spider crab. I don't know. He's an arachnid.
Crab was the remake-ish. Kind of like a loose crab, but it was weird alien spider, definitely in the original.
You get that, but we get no god turtle. So I just miniseries.
Yeah, I will say, I did like the effects. It looked scary as fuck. For being in a underground cave system and having something like this looking at you with the whole "I'm going to kill you."
And something I forgot to mention because it's very weird was Bill's wife for some reason decides to show up to help him, which didn't make any sense. She didn't help. She got.
I think it wasn't really she just showed it. It was his. He kind of cut himself off from her. You think about it. Tuesday, he's like, gotta fucking go. Drops everything. Even though he had obligations and has not really talked to her since he's been here. Showed up to be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And unfortunately steps right into the middle of the war on clowns.
Yeah. So eventually they, start using the silver pieces. They eventually stop Pennywise and they pull his heart out. Pull something out because they beat him. They slingshot with silver, and then he's like, "I'm gonna go," and then they're like, "We can't let him go again." So they chase him down, and then they start just really comedically. Yeah, very comedically though. And then they just pulled something, which I'm assuming is his heart, and killed him. And that's finally the big old bad monster that lasted for eons and eons and eons, got destroyed by 4, 5, I don't even know how many are left now. Very weak people. Oh, and Eddie dies. I forgot Eddie dies.
I mean, weak.
Yes.
They dropped it once. I don't know. I mean, they dropped it once.
They lost. The damn monster lost to John Ritter.
Which only shows, number one, John Ritter. Oh, yeah, John Ritter.
No, he's a great guy. He's not a tough guy, though.
Every creature will fucking bow down to John Ritter. So.
I'm not going to get into that. So let's get to the
okay.
Great.
Hold up.
I can't hold up.
No, you will.
Got this a little bit ago. So yeah,
because pointed out the exhilaration of being on the bike, not the bike itself, is what woke what's her name out of her.
Said that.
And that's where I was like, dude, they rolled damn near off into fucking traffic. It was just the exhilaration thereof. Yeah. It wasn't any fucking magical bike.
We almost ended the movie with people in Derry getting out of their cars and beating the shit out of Bill and his wife because they were just right in the middle of traffic and then just sitting there making out. Like I would have been like out of that car and I'm like kicking some ponytailed ass. That's what I would have been doing. Like, your books suck. Terrible ending.
She was fucking awake to like start dropping feet and elbows, dude. She was good. So
yeah. That was the second part of the miniseries. A lot worse than I remembered because it was a rough second one. Like I watched it last night and I was like, man, this is garbage. Just be birded, like just worm guts just into my mouth. I'm like, no, I don't want it. I don't want it.
So you just wish that you found out the other half, huh?
I really wish that this was back 10 years ago when I thought there was only the one part and it stopped after. Yeah.
We're going to end this with somebody killing himself in the bathroom. Weird, but all right.
Yeah. It's a bleak ending, but at least there was no stupid cockroach monster or crab monster or spider monster, whatever the fuck he was, and some weird miracle with some weird miracle bike ending. Stupid movie. Oh my god. You got thoughts before we go on to the...
Like I said, the second half was definitely a lot weirder. The first half I really dug. The second half, there were some issues. I'm not going to lie. So,
yeah. As usual, we normally cut to a trailer, but since we pretty much watched the trailer last week because it was one big trailer as opposed to the two separate parts, we got a special for you guys. In 2 weeks, the GoreCast television program will be back, including a couple of new characters. And to celebrate that, Johnny and Giz did a promo for when they watched it, or when they were going to review it Chapter 2, and I love the shit out of it. And Johnny was like, hey, I should play this. I was like, yes, we should play that. So, time for the It Chapter 2 promo from the boys. We'll be back.
Wow, man, there's some freaky photos up here.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it, all right.
Yeah, it's...
What's the problem?
No, nothing. Just, what is it you do again?
You know I like you, don't you? And I hope you like me the way I like you. I have something I want to tell you. I'm not like other guys. I was wondering if...
Solid. Thank you. Anyway, if you want to join myself in the Giz this Sunday on American Horrors, 8:30 p.m. CST, and whatever that equates to in GMTs, we're going to be talking about the new It 2 trailer scene.
It Chapter 2 trailer.
It Chapter 2 trailer with a scene from the movie and the trailer and the thing and the cuts. 8:30 p.m. CST. That one.
We're back. That was the promo for the It Chapter 2 episode of the GoreCast, which is going to be returning to American Horrors in 2 weeks' time. Very excited about that. We're going to move on to It Chapter 2 review. We're going to try to do this a little bit quicker because we went on some detours before we got here, and we're getting a bit long in the tooth. It Chapter 2 opens up with a man, it just says a man here, and his boyfriend. They're playing a game. They do some boyfriend things, like kiss, and some guys in Derry see it and they don't like it. Not one bit. Some townies like that. They decide to do a hate crime. And
I gotta say, like, talking to you, because like we were shooting back and forth last night and shit, I'm gonna take that this is more of a, if you've seen the book, a lot more of this will kind of make sense.
Yeah.
For me, that didn't read the book, like this was the strangest fucking opening, because they went in such detail. Like we followed the couple, we fucked them. Yes, we used it as a segue to show Pennywise, but then like nothing of it ever comes up again in the fucking book in the movie.
That's where they dropped the ball on it because, like I said, I don't think I remember them, saying anything. Like I was telling you guys, like you before we started, it's like kind of a heavily it's heavily in the plot of the book,
right?
As they go back and forth to it, because that was it was whole court case and everything. Because this in the book time frame that happened in the 57. So this would have been when the kids were young,
right?
And then they kind of just kept going back. Like,
this wasn't even when they were adults. This was like towards the beginning. Okay,
yeah. So they kind of did switch it up a little bit in the.
Okay, so like this is definitely then more of a book friendlier version than say a movie.
In a way, yes, because like we just said, it happened when they were kids. Here, it happened when they were adults. Because what this does,
there was just so many scenes that just didn't really make sense as far as like me watching it. That's never read the book, and I'm like, I was hitting you up. I'm like, dude, what's with the couple? Oh, it's a thing over here. Okay, so maybe that's why I'm not so like, because you and Johnny were like, dude, it was so good. That's where I guess I had trouble. Like, I just didn't see all of the book nods and stuff like that to make sense and shit.
Like you said, this is kind of what triggers Pennywise to return, because the guy's thrown into the lake and he kind of goes up, and the Pennywise and he proceeds to eat him. And this is where, like I said, Pennywise's return. This is what triggers like Mike. He's listening to. He has like a police scanner up in his. I think he was library here.
Yeah, he's living like in the upstairs of the.
Yeah.
Library.
So and he hears about it. Okay. He hears about it. They're like, oh, bodies mutilated, da 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 da, and there started to be kind of a little bit of a rash of disappearances and deaths and stuff like that. So he's like, he had to make sure that it was Pennywise before he started calling everybody. After this last guy that was killed, that's where it was like, all right, yeah, it's Pennywise.
Okay, so in the book, was it 30 years or 27? Because the original had it as 30, the remake had it as like
27. Honestly, that's one of the things I don't remember from the book.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't tell you. That's probably because I'm like fuzzy, because they both have different timelines. I can't remember which one was right, if it was 20, because I want to say it's 27 years in the book, but if it's not, then it's 30. That's the other option. So,
well, and like, again, not reading the book, I didn't know if there was like a relevance behind the time, or just, hey, this is just the clown's fucking time frame kind of shit.
Yeah. We get to where Mike does his infamous "got to make my phone calls," which was the kind of the catalyst of the part one of the miniseries. Well, they were able to do what they did in an hour and a half of part one. They knocked that out in like 10 minutes. Like, phone call, okay, I'm coming. Phone call, okay, and they didn't really show.
Right. Like in the original, like we kind of like gave each character a little bit of a lead in. Like, Richie was about to do this, then all of a sudden, here it was like, called Buzz, called Giz, like we're fucking done with the scene.
Yeah, there was. Excuse me. And that's a lot of it. Oh, excuse me. Is because of, obviously, we had at chapter one kind of go back to their younger versions, so we didn't really need, I guess, all that. And then the first thing they do is they all meet for dinner. They start to have their memories start coming back, and they're starting to vaguely remember what happened with their first encounter with Pennywise. The one weird thing is that they had put in here was like Beverly's ability to see all their demises. Like, that was kind of weird.
So again, like, there's so much going on in this fucking movie that like made no fucking sense to me. Like, I remember them vaguely like having clouded memories in the original, but here it was like complete fucking amnesia of Gary and anything that fucking happened at that point. Like half of them can't even remember why we have a scar on our hand, like weird shit. And they point out, like, even through the dinner at the Chinese place, it's like, oh, well, wait a minute. more is coming back. Like they have to really point out how much and how quickly it's kind of coming back the longer we stand here.
And the one thing with the book is I haven't read it in so long. It's a very long book, so it's not one that you go back and read multiple times very often. I don't remember if some of the stuff, like the whole Native American thing, I don't remember if that was in the book where they have like that little thing where that's what trapped Pennywise in. I don't. Yeah. I don't remember if that was a part of the book or not, because like I said, I read the book. If it was probably like towards the end of the book, and I just don't. I've read the beginning multiple times and kind of stopped.
Now, I will say, as far as like not reading the book, that kind of helped me get from point A to point B. Because Mike was very adamant about like, I've got a way to stop it. It's going to take all of us to fucking do it. So that helped me get from this stage to the next one.
It's more as opposed to like, oh, how do we stop it? Like in the miniseries, like we're just like, oh, we'll just, I don't know. And like it gives some kind of background on it, and it, like you said, it gives.
Because in the original, it was just all about like, all right, gear up, we're about to have a street fight. Like it just,
The other weird thing
that if it's been doing this for so long, others have tried to take it on over the time period.
The other weird thing that I was kind of like, it wasn't like that big of a deal, but I was kind of like, huh, was like the return of like Mike as like the town historian from like, because like in the 2017 film, Ben was kind of like, he was the one that kind of brought Ben. He was the one that kind of like, was talking about, history a little bit. But then Mike was too, a little bit too, I think.
Right.
But it just seemed like it was weird that like the way they just kind of like, all right, yeah, we don't know how to work that with Ben. It's got to be Mike.
But it was also weird because they made him like kind of like a huge, I don't know, like nutter conspiracy theorist. It wasn't like, it wasn't like he was trying to like resell everybody that didn't remember what was going on. But like he's getting like anxious and panicky in the fucking restaurant and everybody off. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, he's lost his fucking nut. And like there was so many times where he was like fighting to get their attention kind of thing. And it was just so weird seeing that kind of play through and shit.
He kind of tells them, which is another thing that I don't know if that was in the book or if it's something they put here, where he kind of told all the people that they had to kind of go back and get like a relic from from their past, which kind of leads us down like towards the middle and the bulk, like the bulk of the movie was like each individual character kind of going back. So I'm not going to go like all individually, but like each individual character had to go back to a certain point and get some kind of like with Eddie, it was the inhaler. With Bev, it was
the note that she received.
The note that she received from Ben.
And now I will say, as far as the remake goes, I liked their delivery of Ben writing her the note better in the remake.
You mean the original?
No, in the remake, because the original, it was just we were both standing outside the hospital while Mike was inside.
Yeah.
And like this, you did this kind of thing. Yeah. But in the remake, it was more like that she was the only person ever signed my yearbook. Wait, what? And like that kind of piecing together, it made it a little bit more natural.
Which was that's what he brought. That's what Ben brought for his relic was that one page from the yearbook that had Beverly's signature.
And even though she ripped up the old lady's house to do it, she had her little note that she was given when she was a kid. So like it felt more natural, the two of them coming together. In the original, it was just such a random hurry up. We've got a time restraint. Put them together in the fucking parking lot kind of bullshit.
Ben at the boat, Georgie's boat that he made for Georgie before he died. So they all bring their artifacts. Mike has the little weird jug type thingy. They all throw their artifacts in to burn it because they're going to perform the ritual of Chud.
But like I will say though, like because as it goes, everything was natural except for Bill's, because he had to go back into this whole like self-help kind of grab the boat from Georgie's hand bullshit. Everybody else had things that were to like now.
Yeah.
Mike had the rock that we used when we first got into the fight with the bullies. Like everybody, you know what I mean? Like, so it was weird to have Bill just go, well, this is Georgie's boat. Really? Like you had to go back into like some weird mental timeline to fucking do this.
Yeah, and I think Stan, they had like one of their like shower cap things.
Right.
Because that was something that they talked about in the flashback.
And seeing like again that was something we found in a coffee can in our old hideout. You know, fucking what was it, Richie? Because I got twisted up on names.
Richie's the comedian guy.
Yeah, okay. So Richie had the token. Like,
yes, that's what
all this shit was just like not really hard to find except for Bill's, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So they put all this stuff in there, and this is supposedly they're going to do this chant. I think where it's like the light turns to dark, I believe is what they do. They chant to try it because of the dead lights. They do it, and it almost looks like it's like working. It kind of goes away, and then it doesn't work, and Pennywise is still alive. He kind of makes Mike tell the group, well, the Native Americans that did this ritual that supposedly stopped real life, they all got slaughtered doing this ritual.
And his theory was like, well, they didn't believe. Really, Mike? And so that also kind of outs him to the rest of the group. Like, so I may have kind of been pulling your fucking chain on this bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to mention, like, you know, how we sold Bill on it by, like, oh, you thirsty? Here's some drugged water so you can have a fucking walkabout with me of the seeing the whole past.
So, Richie, Eddie is killed by Pennywise. Richie is, or actually, I was going to do that. Richie goes to Pennywise to try to like distract him. He ends up getting caught in the deadlights, very similar to Bev in the first film. He's kind of floating there. Looks like he's going to get eaten. And that's when Eddie sacrifices himself to protect Richie. Eddie ends up getting killed. He gets impaled in the chest by some Pennywise claws. And then they're able to. The only thing is like, I'm just trying to So yeah, so they figure out like we're not gonna be able to stop them. Right? We can't stop them. And then they're like, oh well, the whole thing that Mike was saying is like I can't remember if this is the remake or this one.
In the remake, Eddie was saying I was able to fight him because he was smaller.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's where they start calling him by his names. Because is that where they talked about where it has
like,
to take the
small,
form?
You're a fucking clown and blah blah blah. Like they all start kind of bullying the clown to become like smaller, so they can take him on instead of. Like,
I might be thinking of the original where that's like they say like it has to abide by like the rules of like what it is.
That was the remake. It has to abide by the rules of life. Yeah.
Okay, so like what it becomes is like it became a clown, so it has to abide by the rules of being, I guess, human.
Like it has to abide by the rules of life or something. I can't remember exactly.
And then they just consult comic style, just keep like, you're small, you're a clown, da da da, and it shrinks, and then they pull his heart out because that's what they did.
I will say I kind of liked the because like as Pennywise is attacking us, and we all venture our own ways. Like Ben and Beverly wind up in their own kind of personal hell. She's in the bathroom fighting off her dad. Yeah. Ben's drowning in the hideout. I kind of liked fucking Richie and Eddie's the whole scarier, not scary.
Which they did the first one because that's what in the house in the 2017.
Yeah,
film,
but like
right,
you know, but like it was funny though the whole it's Pomeranian, and Richie's like I'm fall for this bullshit, dude. Fuck you. Like so that was funny in the situation and shit. I don't know, man. Like. I guess like maybe I would have enjoyed this more reading the book, you know?
Well, at least knowing maybe where it was coming from. I mean,
right.
Just knowing, okay, that's not in the book. I might not have read it, but it makes sense why they did it.
Because now I'm looking at it like not reading the book. Like I don't know if I'm supposed to be like acknowledging a nod or like if I'm just not understanding the scene. And I have to point out though, in both remake and original, how the fuck do you score a hotel where there's like nobody fucking else there?
Yeah, it's daring.
Like,
they don't get a lot of this.
Like I get it. Like I get that we're in a small town, but like in the original, we shanked the motherfucker and left him in our hotel room. No big. In the original, like we've got bloody skateboards going downstairs. We've got like people getting stabbed. Nobody else. Like it was just weird.
We kind of end with the group going back to the little pond thing like they did in the original. Just they weren't in their undies this time. Or not the original, the remake. Kind of it's such a it's hard to keep going back and forth, which I'm talking about. And then they kind of all go their separate ways. It seems like Ben and Bev get married. I think that's what they. Yeah, they do.
It's looking that way. I mean, like they've definitely.
I think he actually says they married 2 weeks later, and then like such and such they are pregnant.
I know in the remake or the original they mentioned that, but I couldn't remember.
Was it the original? Okay, maybe I was wrong. I don't know. Whatever. They're together.
In the remake, we mainly kind of kept it between Mike and Bill signing everybody off.
Yeah.
And then we got a letter from Stan.
Kind of saying that like that's the way he had to help because he knew he was going to be the weak link. If he did show up, he was going to be a hindrance for him. And that to him was the only way he could see as being a help in the attempt to kill Pennywise was for him to take himself out of the equation pretty much.
So I definitely see the sequel leaning more on Mike and Ben as far as information transfer and story movement, you know? Because
the one thing
going, hey, I'm finally leaving Derry. Fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The one thing I liked was the little nod to Stephen King himself with Bill being the horror writer who just couldn't write good endings. And then the fact of having Stephen King working at that pawn shop is like, your endings suck. I just like that little kind of jab that he's been getting almost his whole career.
Right.
Having fun with it.
So, like, you know, it's Where's Waldo. You have to, at some point, see Stephen King in one of his films and shit.
Like, it was
the weird stutter thing. Like, that was just kind of, I don't know, like, that wasn't as funny as it should have been.
I don't think it was supposed to be funny.
Okay.
But him, because the thing, are you talking about Stephen King
like
or are you talking about
pawn shop?
Bill?
Like in the pawn shop when Bill's trying to get his bike, he's like, "I want to ask about the banjo, beaver, like that fucking bike." Oh, if you're gonna use that language, son,
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it was supposed to be comical, but it just was like, oh, well, that's your shtick.
Because the thing with Bill is because I mean obviously like he had the stutter as a kid and then like for some reason with Pennywise come back it like reverted him back to that, so he was starting to stutter, so he was struggling, and then because of seeing the bike, because that was the one weird thing is like in the original series the bike is actually bought by Mike. He says he found it in the pawn shop and he's like I had to buy it. This time it's actually found by Bill and he actually buys it. So it was a little bit similar, but they just did a different route as opposed to having Ben Mike buy it, then Bill buy it. I think what we'll do is go ahead and probably cut to a trailer. I think we'll come back and just kind of give our final thoughts and then go into what is upcoming and say our bye-byes. So, It Chapter 2 trailer.
Something happens to you when you leave this town. The farther away, the hazier it all gets. But me, I never left. I remember all of it.
To the losers,
made an oath.
I swear. If it isn't dead, if it ever comes back, we'll come back to it.
We didn't stop it.
Pennywise.
The clown. We can't let it happen again.
Hello?
Kid! Kid! Hello.
For 27 years, I dreamt of you. I craved you. I missed you.
We need to finish it. For good.
I've seen all of us die. It consumes us from the inside until we don't have a choice anymore.
You lied. And I died. You lied! And I
And we're back. That was It Chapter 2. It was It Chapter 2, the trailer. Very, to me, more enjoyable than the second part of the miniseries. I honestly, I was very regretting it. Like I was like, oh god, 2 hours and 49. And then I watched it. I was like, oh, that was a delight.
I wish I could say the fucking same. Like,
the funny thing is, like, it didn't get a lot of as much talk about it after it came out, like the first one did.
No,
which
who the fuck
put me off to it because I'm like,
5-hour movie, dude.
It was the 5 hours.
I've
It was
already-
almost 3. That's
Plus part 2. Like, I just, like, as a whole, who the fuck wants to sit down after spending 5 hours of their life watching a movie to talk about it?
I don't know. Well, I mean, after the 2017 film, like everybody was raving about it. It was like, oh, so good, you know, blah da 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 da. And then like, It Chapter 2 came out, and it came out, and that was it.
Because everybody was so tired, they just did not have the strength to talk about it after 3 fucking hours. They all just wanted to go home to bed, dude.
You.
Okay, so like here's the thing. I am not gonna knock it. Like, I liked the original. The second half of the original was definitely fucking weird. Visually, I dug the shit out of it, Chapter 2. They put in a lot of shit, you know. But I also felt like a lot of the visuals were put in more for filler. But as a horror film about a clown trying to kill motherfuckers, I will say like It 2 is good.
The way I would look at it with the original is, as a whole, it's watchable. As separating it like we did, the first part is superior to the second part.
Exactly.
Which that's the original way how it was released, because of it being the 2-part miniseries. So, like, that's why I kind of wanted to do it this way, as opposed to talking about them as one whole movie. I wanted to talk about them the way they were released, and the second part was just so bad, and just like none of the. I believed the kids in the first part of the miniseries, like their performances, but when you came over to the second part, when they were adults, a couple of them were good. The guy who played Eddie, that guy plays a nervous little germaphobe. Everybody else was just like, eh. except for the dude who played Richie, which Harry Anderson. He did really well as Richie, and obviously Tim Curry's Pennywise was great. The others were just that, and I don't know. Like, I like John Ritter. I didn't really think he really did much for me in the second part that stood out.
It was more like namesake than really anything. As far as the remake, I really liked the cast, but I can't remember his name. Professor X.
James McAvoy.
He was the only fucking person, as awesome as he is, and like Split in every other fucking movie. This was the one movie I'm like, he's just not fitting in, if that makes sense.
It just didn't, like, that type of the character just didn't fit him, and he just wasn't really able to pull it off. Which is weird because, like I said, I really like McAvoy, but it just didn't really seem like.
No, and I think Bane said it best. Like, it was not his thing, dude. You know, like, he was just too. Oh fuck! I can't remember what he said, like the look or something. Like, he was just too good for that character, and so it was just kind of unbelievable to see him trying to do this scared stutter thing. Like, it didn't. Like, he was the only one that I could not support in their character.
Is there any closing remarks from the audience before we move on to?
We got Sweet Rabbit that says people were made to want to share their experience. After you watch something, you want to share it with everyone. That's why you see movies in theaters and go see them with your friends.
Yeah.
You know. So no, like I said, I kind of wish I had read the book to see this one. Maybe it would have made more sense. I didn't not like it. I just think I would have probably liked it more, you know, as you filled me in on spots where I was like, dude, what's this about? Oh, it's this. Oh, okay.
Like, if I would have said that before you watched it, maybe it would have made it a little bit.
Right, definitely. Yeah. Like, I think I would have taken a lot of it with a little bit more of a grain of salt. Whereas here, I'm like watching it, and I'm like, okay, so there's this red cup. Like, this makes no relevance. So, like, you know, the turtle in the classroom, you were like, oh, fucking awesome. To me, I was like, why are we staring at a fucking turtle? I don't get it.
Yeah, the god turtle. But yeah, that should wrap a bow on this week's episode, our extravaganza special greatness 2-part episode of it. Next week on Original versus Remake, we will be doing We Are What We Are, 2010 2015. Kind of a short gap there, but I kind of told the lads that I have a feeling that this is probably a American why they were so close together, very similar to let the right one in and let me in. But that's what we'll be doing next week. Thursday, we went from a night of Kevin Costner, but we transitioned to a night of Alan Rickman. And we will be doing Sweeney Todd, Dogma, and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Which I like, because that definitely showcases his fucking skill set, dude.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Thursday, Johnny or Giz will let you guys know what they're going to be doing on Sunday. Oh, probably from what you guys were. Okay. They will be watching and reviewing David Arquette, Howl.
Awesome fucking movie.
And another movie Johnny cannot remember the name of off the top of his head. But you'll find out Thursday. Because he will probably ask me to remind him, and I'll forget. Like other things that happened tonight.
Dude, Howl was an awesome fucking movie, and I definitely want to see what they think about the David Arquette thing.
So, yeah, so that's what we got from them on Sundays. Don't look back. Don't look back. That's what they're doing. So Howl, Don't Look Back, and David Arquette Must Die. That's what will be on the session. You can't kill David Arquette. You can't kill David Arquette, Howl, and Don't Look Back is what's on the schedule for Sunday's program. I'm getting good at this now. It just takes me 18 times. Yeah, so that should do it for the Carter and the Buzz tonight. And we shall see everybody on Thursday for a night of Alan Rickman. That was a very bad Alan Rickman impression, but Bye, everybody. We'll just end
So
it
you're
on
all-
that. Bye.
What?